Hello, OPL fans. Hope you're enjoying your Friday night full of League of Legends action this week because it's Super Week. Still Spawn, still Bryce, Ejim, Paul.
Oh, you forgot my name for a second.
I didn't. I was
still,
like, I didn't know whether I was like still Bryce, still Ejim, because I normally call you Ejim like once at the start.
Yeah.
But we just both don't like some of the names all that much. So I want to jump into that game straight away because that game to me seemed like a slow, methodical win from Legacy, but AV never really got it going. Legacy, even in the win, we're still really mis-executing some players. Like, what's going on here?
I feel like there's safe and then there's too safe. And I think for the most part, Legacy, in my eyes, were too safe. I'm happy to be like, okay, Legacy are a slow early game team. Then you have like, compare them to something like Order who are like, no, we want to like play high pressure, right? Yeah. So I'm happy for them to be like, yeah, that's how we're going to play. That's our style. We're going to play slow, get to 20 minutes and then start ramping up and then really put on the pressure. But when you go slow early game and then get a big advantage, win a huge team fight slow mid game, like get it in here maybe, we can't push it further. And then they kind of were in situations where I feel like they should have ended the game maybe twice and they just couldn't. They kind of overreached on an engage, blow Sybil's engage, the Shen ulti as well, and then didn't have anything left. And I feel like it was a slow, very methodical win, and I think it was well played by Legacy, but I just too safe, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the other thing that I have to question is if your team doesn't play well around, one go button or two go button comps, then at a certain point it becomes your responsibility as a coach to be like, I need to give you more tools. For example, Order, once again, we'll go back to them around team fights. They like to team fight, and you know that that's how they're going to win games. So every now and again, they just draft things that like Alisar, Zach, Malzahar. And it's like, okay, here's a whole load of tools to start up a fight. And I feel like Legacy's not that team, so I think that Soulstrike's draft was fine. But I feel like Avant at a certain point are kind of that team. When they want to play pretty high tempo at the moment. I feel like they just need a whole load of more go buttons.
Yeah, I mean, they only had the one. All they had was Sejuani. Braum isn't going to be your engage, and I think we kind of talked about the in the Rise into the Gnar matchup and how it wasn't effective at all. But if you mentioned if you have him on something like the Ornn, you have that extra go button. Suddenly that looks like a good cohesive comp out of Parbu, but unfortunately it wasn't there yet. And I mean, it's just super interesting, I think, because last time these two teams played, all of the strengths out of AV were coming through Parbu, right? Like they had that Gnar into the Ornn matchup. They gave him a lot of resources there, and they were like kind of trying to punish Mimic both in the ban phase and then in game as well. But unfortunately for them, it just didn't work out with that Rise.
Because I feel like the only two teams in the whole of OS that we see play well without huge amounts of either opening CC into a team fight or huge priority in team fight. Legacy, when they play nice and slow, and even sometimes that doesn't go well for them, and Direwolves. Yeah. Direwolves play through lane priority better than anyone in the OPL right 100%. Now. So I think if you aren't those two teams, at a certain point, you just need to pick agency and, ability to go forward in team fights a little bit more. However, let's jump into this pick ban phase, see if they change it up a little bit. Gangplank, Camille, as well as Azir taken away. So they dropped the Zoe ban, and it is going to be Kalista, Caitlyn, as well as Rise taken off the board by Legacy. They just don't want to play against the Rise top lane, potentially. See whether they go for Zoe, first pick here for Avant Gaming.
I mean, Rise still good in terms of mid lane as well, so it might not just be a targeted ban at the top lane. Maybe they don't want to deal with the flex, but also over to Frey. He's played a lot of it this season.
Yeah, I think actually what it is that they know Frey doesn't play Zoe, obviously, because he's not even willing to first pick it here. And it's available. So what they're saying is Rise is one of the few laners that does okay into Zoe. Let's just get rid of the one counter pick, and I expect this to potentially be a Zoe pick.
And that's actually one of the real tense moments on stage as a player in draft when you're like, okay, like we're banking on him not playing Zoe here. We don't want them to first pick it, and the time is counting down, and they'll hover in the Ezreal. It gets to 3, 2, 1. You're like, are they going to pick it? No, because now it just gives Legacy so much room. They can just pick up this Xayah Rakan bot lane, and they don't even have to take the Zoe there. They can pick it in their third pick there, so big deal.
Name a better love story than Xayah Rakan. They're just so cute in game. At one point in time, people at home wouldn't know this, but when they were first released, Ejim and I were like, we're going to become the best Xayah Rakan duo on the server. And we are the worst duo.
We're just not the worst Xayah Rakan duo. We're the worst duo.
We're just the out-and-out worst duo. I think we are 0-6 or something so far this off-season.
Yep. It's not good. I mean, we're not in the off-season. We're in the season.
I'm waiting for the ladder reset. 2019 is my year, baby.
Okay.
However, it's going to be Ornn as well as Braum picked up. And Gnar will be taken again for Mimic in the top lane.
Yep, so already seeing that engage potential coming out of Parbu. So they do lock in the Braum, so the flex is not available there. Ezreal Braum into Xayah Rakan, you have to think Legacy, Raid and Decoy are going to have significantly more pressure in this lane. Braum, A soft counter into the Xayah blocks the feathers, so it's very hard unless he gets caught up in the engage.
If he gets his door up before the ultimate as well, also stops a lot of the damage in that combo that will come out. However, very hard to do.
You have to, it's kind of weird because as the Braum, you have to play off your AD carry. You have to let Rakan engage and then kind of come through with the door up. Because if you're standing on top of him and Rakan catches you in that, then you both just get completely wiped. It's too late by the end of that charm to be able to throw the door up, so have to track how that one goes for the rest of the game. As we see the rest of the bans coming out, Sejuani still has not been picked or banned, but the Jarvan hits the bench.
Jarvan, Malzahar, Talia, go on. What's the last one? Is it going to be Zoe? Do they want him to play Zoe? Is it the Do-Si-Do? Was the Paddle Star nerf really that big?
0.25. Bit of a meme, but it is enough apparently. I mean, not enough actually. Because it gets banned. Yeah, absolutely not. They don't want to give Claire that one.
Imagine that. Like, you just knock it, like, just a little bit, just shatters. Humpty Dumpty, Zoe. But will be banned away, so obviously not the case. Sejuani picked up for Sybil this game. No Zach. He had a pretty impressive performance. Couple of little things that you would pick apart in his game, but as a solo engage, I think did his job better than Only.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in terms of a solo engage, it's so easy to criticize, like the engages aren't sticking well.
Oh, but trust me, I've made a living on it. I know how easy it is to criticize
If you're the only one with proactivity on your team and they're like, okay, we need to engage, and you're like, well, okay, every person on the enemy team is playing around me right now, and I'm apparently meant to hit this one. Very difficult, but does pick himself up the Sejuani here.
Interesting that they've gone with an Orianna. Do we see something like a Lee Sin, something like a Zac that can get access to that back line? Jax, not really the same as those champions. However,
Nidalee.
Nidalee is definitely not like those champions. However, would give Only a lot of threat in the 1v1 versus Ray.
Yeah, okay, he does. Looking for the snowball game here, potentially. Spent a lot of time in Sybil's jungle. Level 3, game 1. So, as we're actually just taking a look at Laura writing some notes in a notebook there.
That's good. I like it when
the studious analyst.
Yeah, exactly right. You can't say that behind the scenes. We're not putting in the hard yards.
But we've got 5 seconds left on what Decoy wants to pick up for his mid lane. It's actually going to be the Victor. An 8.3 actually gets 60% bonus shield power on his Q. So when he goes for that Q auto,
he still just doesn't have a Keystone Mastery.
Yeah.
Though. Fleet footwork, will it be picked up?
I mean, interesting. I mean, I've seen Fantix tweet about it. He's saying it's absolutely garbage. Yep. So emphatically no from him, but it has been picking up popularity. And I mean, listening to some people talk about, I think it was actually the NA casters on the dive. They were saying there's this one guy in NA solo queue that plays this Iceborne Gauntlet, like Q Victor build instead of the E Victor you traditionally see.
What he goes is he goes for Abyssal Mask into Iceborne Gauntlet. Obviously, that gives you 30% cooldown reduction, which is an absolute truckload. And he kind of plays this frontline Victor. We've seen actually in the past, Doinby do it very successfully over in the LPL.
He's a frontline mid lane. He plays Nautilus.
100% he plays Nautilus. But I think that it kind of shows that there are champions that do fit niche roles. But what you're not going to see out of Victor anymore is the rookie faker, stand next to a wall. If an AD carry walks past it, dump 3 spells over the wall and they die. That era, thank goodness, is gone.
Yep, but Claire, obviously on Legacy, but is also a Legacy Victor player.
He is.
Probably one of his, if not the best.
Apart from Fantix, I would say that he's the best Victor player on the server.
Yep, 100%. He's not playing in the OPL, so Claire, best Victor in the OPL.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. Jake Spawn Tiberia. If he feeds this game, then
all on me.
Tweet at Spawnwall.
Yep,
unfortunately. So we'll have to track how he goes for the rest of the game, but expect some exciting stuff out of him.
Swiffer plays a bit of Victor. I'm trying to just name the others off the top of my head. Frey doesn't play it. He plays Orianna. Triple more of an Orianna player as well.
Yeah, I feel like most mid lane champion pools are actually pretty diverse for the most part. Across metas, it's one of those roles that has kind of the most champions. So
you kind of get an
every mid lane is like, hey, I can play Victor, but Claire is like a Victor player.
Yeah. I agree. Mid lane, the reason I like it, you get an option. Like you play like AD Assassin. Are you a Talon player? Are you a Zed player?
Yep. Unfortunately, your shoulder just takes off your headset there, but...
All right, cool. Let's just throw to Laura, who's standing alongside with Charlie Wraith for an interview.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here alongside with Charlie. Unfortunately, the team's just come out of a loss. What uplifting words and advice did you give to them during the break?
Yeah, I just told the guys to just play with more confidence. I think in that game, they just played the macro correctly, and we just kind of let them do it. So we just need to be willing to take sloppier engages, just start the fight, add some chaos to the game, and just give ourselves a fighting chance.
Without giving anything away for this game, what things and trends were you able to pick up from Legacy in Game 1?
It's hard to not give anything away, I guess. A lot with the jungle. I mean, I don't really want to say anything else.
No problem. So taking a look at Legacy's draft, what's the biggest threat or danger you can see?
Well, they have a Victor mid. We haven't played against that in a long time, but Xayah Rakan is like a very strong pressure lane, and if they get ahead bottom, we could like give them a lot of kills. So we just need to make sure that they don't get ahead, and we should outscale.
Well, best of luck with this series, and thank you for talking to us.
Thanks.
We scaling boys is the message from Charlie Ray.
Also, add some chaos is the message.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great message.
Yep. 100%. Legacy, we talked about, a very slow...
Here we go. Chaos.
Hey.
In goes Pabu. Takes a lot of health from Mimic. Spear will not land. However, will be able to get a lot of damage already.
I feel so bad for Sybil, man. He doesn't get to play jungle. You mentioned in that interview, Charlie didn't want to give anything away, but he says, other than the jungle,
yeah,
I don't want to tell you anything. And Laura's like, okay, that's enough. But that and enough is already only level 1 this time with the invade, bringing Pabu along.
Pabu just
game 1.
sits around, and Pabu's the battle lord this game.
Yeah, that's going to be the red buff taken away by only level 2, and Sybil, already 2 minutes into the game, has not got a single camp, so that's a big deal. This Nidalee into the Sejuani matchup, if she gets ahead, can absolutely just steamroll over the jungle. You clear faster once you get your first base. So, if Sybil only really gets access to one quadrant of his jungle, good foreshadow, good things for only coming into game 2 here.
And look at this, they've got the bottom lane
Oh,
shoved,
no.
and all of a sudden he's just running into the jungle. However, we are just watching mid lane Tango. Show me the jungle. He gets the camp, but he's just getting auto-attacked over the wall, and he's bought 2 friends with it this time. Sybil is just getting bullied.
Yeah, absolutely getting bullied right now. Does get the buff, so he has a blue buff. Only looking to take away the wall. Sybil's kind of posturing around, but he's just going to go back to the top side jungle. Only just going to retreat to his.
The fact that Only, however, does not have a blue buff means that he has spent
Does he walk
so
to blue?
much of this. Yeah, he has
He
to.
does.
He can't do 2 camps. He spent so much of this game running around. Like, you know in AFL and stuff how they have like the kilometer trackers like strapped to the players? His heart rate right now is like 170. He's already covered 3Ks. We're only 3 minutes into the game. And I think that that's going to hurt him because now you have Sybil potentially looking for a scuttle crab. He can get a couple of camp recall and potentially look to redeploy.
He's incredibly low here, but
He's
going
trying
to
to do
one-shot that one.
chickens.
Yeah.
See, kids at home, if you
Chickens
get counter jungled at the start of the game, avoid Krugs and chickens.
Yeah. Oh, Pabu.
Yeah, they hurt a lot.
Yeah. He's not going to see him there, so he does actually get his recall off, but only level 2, only. Has picked up his blue buff now, does away the Gromp doing his own wolf, so he'll be able to walk around further.
This is just, they're jerks.
Yep. I mean, put him behind and then kick him while he's down is the aim of the game for AV right now, for the most part. And it's interesting that the bot lane from AV actually got priority in the early stage of the game. We didn't get to see what happened level 1 in the bot lane, but Xayah Rakan, best level 1 bot lane in the game.
I would have
if
liked
that
to see
W
if they
from Rakan
started
lands.
Because if they're trying to fake leash on Legacy's lineup or something like that, potentially you can give a little bit away in terms of priority. Also, the fact that they have minion dematerializer doesn't work at level 1. However, they also have Targans. But potentially they have more.
Unfortunately for Legacy, fake leashing does not work if the opposing jungler and top laner just walk into your red buff. But Engage coming out of Jake here. They do lock down raid.
Lots of creeps
Only's
here. However,
here.
Only is here.
Oh.
Tried to get the predict on the flash. However, still picks up first blood. Will go relatively low. Good gank coming out of Only.
Yeah, nice pressure out of the jungle from Only already, putting Sybil behind, doing his Raptors right now. So had free access to the bot side. They do burn both summoners out of raid.
And talk to me about this mind game of, you know, we're an aggressive lane, so we have to play up. However, our jungle is so far behind in tempo, so Nidalee can be here at any stage. Is it a case of you just have to take the gamble and try to play up because otherwise your comp doesn't do what it's supposed to, or should they have played that differently?
I mean, I feel like there are windows of maybe you do just take the gamble, but this is not one of them. When your jungler's top side of the map Only is already ahead and you have no idea where he is, so they're playing way too far forward. Jake got the engage down early, nice, onto the 80 carry as well, not onto the Rakan who can dash away twice with that E with a W. Early ignite means that the heal means nothing, and Only walks in, even misses the spear, and it does not matter.
Yeah, you can see in the mid lane. All 6 charges nearly used from Claire right now in this matchup. So he's using Minion Dematerializer to guarantee shove in a situation that Victor wouldn't necessarily have it. And trying to get towards that first evolution. We're seeing a summon Airy pick up for the Victor. And I like this cute little adaptation.
Frey looking a little bit low right now. Only level 5 to Claire's level 6, so he does have this window of priority right now. CS fairly even. Got to walk and try to get some vision on the bot side of the map. His bot lane. Nice little link up here. Both lanes going missing at the same time. Means that if you are the jungler of Only, if he wasn't in the base right now, would be very respectful of that invade coming out.
And you can see Claire actually getting in, even though the ultimate does less upfront damage now. At this stage of the game, a little bit low on health for Frey, so he needs to play respectfully.
Yeah, and the on-the-way ping, you have to assume is coming out of only, so gives his mid laner a little bit of a heal and probably trying to get himself a recall here, but Civil did just walk out of base, so AV have no idea where he is right now. He is shadowing Mimic in the top lane, who has that priority, might just find the other jungler, the Nidalee in the river.
But again, Parbu is up in CS into this very strange counter pick. Ultimate comes out. Mimic will just flash it. Obviously didn't have the hop available. And you can see that was because Only was also top side of the map. They did ping him out.
Yeah, he was on that ward there as he does just scry away. But the ward is going to die. So advantage in the top lane for AV already. Once again, Decoy looking for that engage, looking for the W, but it does not land. Q lands onto Raid, which means Blinky can go aggressive. This is pretty interesting, right? It's very hard for the Zyra Khan before level 6 to actually get onto the Ezreal. And if you do, you have that Braum available, so nice counter matchup for AV, but only time will tell once that level 6 spike hits, can Legacy actually stick these engages?
And it's also one of those things that if you get through a lane 50-50 versus it, sure, they've got a kill right now, which obviously is far from ideal for a Legacy, but if that kill wasn't there, is the counter pick for 1 to 5 really going to be enough when Rakan's hitting these sick engages of Xayah in team fights? Because the dash range just makes it so much harder to predict when Rakan is coming in.
Yeah, I mean, if you are AV, Charlie said in his interview that they are just looking to add a spice of chaos, but also scale, so I'm going to have to disagree with him, to be honest. I think Xayah late game AD carry is actually very good. Rakan late game support, hugely impactful, even if he's inting. If he's a 0-10 Rakan, it actually just doesn't matter. You can just land a big combo onto an Orianna who is dashless. She doesn't have that mobility, does have the cleanse, but will always be impactful. Yep. And all they've got to scale with is really that Ezreal and the Orianna. Nidalee at 6 items. I mean, you'd much rather a frontline tank.
And that exact thing happened. I was watching Sneaky's stream the other day with Jasper, just chilling on the couch.
What did he think?
Yeah, he's a big fan, actually, of watching League of Legends, because there's lots of bright flashing lights. He just likes it a lot. But he was saying, like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to buy QSS? Why? So I can, like, cleanse flash his knock-up? Like, what actually do you want me to do against Rakan? Because he was in the situation where he just dominated the lane, and then Rakan kept flashing on his head late game, and he just kept dying over and over again.
Such a reliable engage.
So if you don't have flash available, even if you do have cleanse, even if you have QSS, you really are relying on people like Parbu, like Jake, CCing the damage threats, whilst Rakan kind of does the same on the carries. And then you just take the team fight from there. If they go in and they get a big knock-up, not much you can do.
Yeah, and I mean, I do have to compliment Jake here. You mentioned CCing the damage threats. Last game, AV getting the inhib knocked on by Legacy. As soon as the engage came out, does actually flash forward with that Brawl multi. So same champion again, good situation. So very proactive in that regard. Does look for the re-engage immediately. Have to compliment him there as Legacy has the priority. Sorry, Claire has the priority once again in this mid lane.
We're starting to get some really good going forward supports in the OPL. You know, the likes of Cupcake, likes of Jake.
Here we go, Decoy.
In the back bottom lane. Door goes up, see where they can get anything. Blinky flashes out. Jake's still just sitting there tanking. Parbu comes in. Where is the ultimate? It is up and available, so he will be looking to CC. 2 members gets them. That will be the stun going out onto Mimic right now. Only is here. Mimic hops away, but Decoy went a little bit too deep. Will have to flash. In comes Claire on Victor. This should just be the successful disengage. We can see mid lane not running.
Blinky
flashes forward, grabs himself a kill, and now Parbu does have to burn a flash in response. Why did they keep going forward there? You can see Frey said, get back. I'm going to push mid lane.
He had no business chasing the Victor down the river there, so it seemed like the engage from both parts couldn't quite stick. They just could not get the kill. All of the abilities, they do land onto Blinky early in that engage, but because of the Braum, he does not die. But then a slight overreach from AV, as you mentioned. Frey can't chase. He can't face check a Victor. If he just sits in the river and waits for him, Frey would immediately die, so they
also
lose
right
the one
now,
trade
he's
there.
just running over every ward in Runeterra's existence. And you can see Decoy looking to get out. That will be a flash shockwave.
Nice.
And Decoy just takes the Express. Potentially will be first turret in response of a kill, but such a good escape from Legacy's duo.
Yeah, very well played from the bottom lane there. Obviously the extra range with the Xayah Rakan Lovers duo there means he does get out scot-free after CCing the damage threat. When they look for the CC, it comes up trumps there again. But they don't opt in. It would be a huge tempo loss for AV if they actually stuck around and hit that turret. So they do choose to maintain that tempo somewhat. They wanted to push Claire off their mid turret.
Yeah, Mimic on the top lane turret as well. And Mimic actually just ulties a creep wave, wants a hard reset here. That's cute.
I mean, he has no TP, so unless Sybil is going to be ganking an on,
which he's probably not going to
yeah,
be.
he's probably not going to want to do that. Doesn't have a whole lot of use for that ultimate there. Just takes away the blast plant, nice little ward over the wall. And another one on the blue buff means he does know that only took that one away.
Just Mimic. He's going to walk around, potentially look to clear out a ward.
Does check
well.
it. There. Oh, no! Oh, no, he does. Okay. You reckon somebody pointed it out, or you reckon?
Yeah, there was a couple of pings.
Yep.
But that's massive. That tempo that he just gained him complete vision control of top side of the map. They know now that Nidalee must be bottom side, and you can actually see on top of Sybil, Claire is moving across and only takes so much damage.
And Claire just picks up the freest kill of his life. Sybil donates that one over to the mid lane at 2-0-0. We already saw the performance he had in game 1, setting his mid laner up again for another one in game 2.
Victor players everywhere are kind of despairing because they've been saying that Victor sucks. And he can't play him AP anymore, that, you know, the triple upgrade into the Hex Core just is no longer viable. What the heck is going on with my champion? And, you know, Riot Games probably listening. Now, Claire's obviously played it and just nearly has soloed out his mid laner. And they're saying, nah, he's not due for any buffs anytime
Yeah,
soon.
we'll have to see a replay on how that one actually occurred, though. Claire was just sitting around the wall. We were watching Sybil actually in the bot side of the map right now, but was looking for something down there. They tried to get a gank. But, actually, Decoy finds itself.
Yeah, one more time, Decoy goes in, nearly gets stunned up there. Jake did have the ultimate available, but obviously in a 3v2, did not choose to throw that one out. And Legacy this game are somehow still behind in gold, even though their mid laner is 3-0-0.
Yeah, and Frey, this is what we saw before with that fight breaking down on the bot side of the map. He can't face check Claire. As soon as he does, he just gets eaten alive. The QE ulti combo does half his HP, just chases him down. Already had the red buff that Sybil basically donated him from only, so another easy kill picked up on him, 3-0-0 from Claire. And when we're talking about scaling before, we didn't even mention Victor, one of the best scaling mages in the game, has such an upfront impact. It did get the nerf on the upfront damage of your ulti, but if you're ahead of the curve, if you have these items and the other people do not have magic resist, you can absolutely just blow up a carry.
Yep. I mean, gold makes up for every nerf in the game.
Yeah, yep.
At a certain point, if you just get that much more items than the other person, you do more damage. And right now, Claire is in that position over Frey.
Yep, 100%. Only was looking for something there, but Ezreal, Braum, Nidalee, not the best dive combination here. Sybil is also around, and Xayah Rakan very hard to die. There's so much outplay potential. As the Rakan player in this matchup, if you have a Xayah, your life is just infinitely easier. You just have so much forgiveness to dash around. You can go really far forward, and you just get that dash out for free. So, Decoy just going to fling himself around these fights there as Sybil just clears out a pink.
And even though Only has tempo advantage in this matchup, you can see he's up 20-odd CS. You know, that 5 camps. He hasn't really made any of it apart from that First Blood stick. And bottom lane, again, is just being pressured off their turret with such good vision control from Legacy. And they cannot defend this in a 2v4. They're going to throw out the ulti. We'll trim the wave, but eventually they will just have to back off one more time or risk being dove.
Yeah, a lot of pings going into the top side of the map. They know Frey is cheating up there. But Only just doing the blue right now. Going to donate that one over to his mid laner. So no response almost coming out of AV. You have to think that Legacy might be able to, with this pseudo pressure.
No mana. He's like, bring it back, dude. Where are you going?
Auto, one more. There we go. 28 HP. Does pick himself up the blue buff. But Legacy don't actually get the turret. They do recall. Essence Reaver already completed out of the Xayah. She's one of the few AD carries that almost always goes for the Essence Reaver build. Yeah,
for sure. And interestingly enough, no Sheen picked up for Blinky. He's rushed what is the AD version of the Manamir.
It's game 2 he's done it. Did it as well in game 1. But
interesting.
I think potentially that was because he picked up the tier super late and just based with enough gold. But here... Oh, no, he actually does. He waits around for that gold. Has the boost, has the Sheen as well, so... Picks himself up that one there. Mimic. Doesn't know Pub is in the bush, so won't be able to cancel that one, but Mega Knight's going to push this one in. That hurts. A little bit of damage onto Frey there. No blue buff available for Claire just yet, so wave clear advantage should go over to Frey for the time being.
However, you can see Sybil is just cheating around that corner. Shockwave will be thrown out. Nidalee is here. Claire turns around the damage. That will be the flash. Obviously, ambulance gank coming out of Only there. Throws a heal at him. Says, there you go, buddy.
Turn around is the right word there. Because despite the shockwave hitting Claire in the face, he doesn't even care. Has the heal available as well, so he knows he's not going to die. Just faces up, steps up to the Orianna and hits him with a bunch of damage.
And now, once again, they've lost priority in mid lane. That will start flowing over to bottom lane if they cheat into Fog of War. You can see Sybil corralling only. In goes Jake, actually aggressively. Bottom, like, you can just see they're fighting each other somewhere the jungle is.
Trade and auto
taking,
attacks.
Yeah, too much damage, however.
So a lot of these fights just kind of looking for an engage so far. And you did mention in terms of the Nidalee versus Sejuani matchup, jungle snowballing leads is incredibly important. So only, despite having that first blood, which you mentioned was the only thing that's kind of stuck. The next pick that he finds himself in the river where Sybil gets that second kill for Claire is so huge because when you're counter jungling, like, it kind of snowballs incredibly easily. If you die and then lose a minute of that time, then the camp respawns get incredibly wonky, so you kind of can't work your way around the map and take camp after camp. So that does kind of allow Sybil to get back into it here. Only 15 difference between the two now.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see top lane will be a stun actually into Pabu's own structure there. So making this lane easy for Mimic. But honestly, just a little bit of back and forward. Tank wars never really amount in much. And you can see Sybil is being chased out of bottom lane again. Will get stunned up. And the spear goes towards Decoy. Flash engage, actually, however. Decoy will be able to CC him up, but however, is so low. Now flashing away, will fall down. In comes Pabu again. Predicts the flash, and that will be 2 kills going across. Meanwhile, on the back side, Mimic has killed a member. Was Blinky. And they see Claire and they say, guys, this is a good time to just stop fighting.
Yeah, he's got it 3 arms. That's 1 more than I have. So let's get the hell out of dodge here. Claire just going to clear up the wave. And I was actually just going to mention, Mimic keeps expanding his ulti in the top side because he's literally left on an island. And the bot side of the map for AV is Claire just going to pick up a bit of damage here. The bot side from AV don't have a lot of engage. You have a Nidalee Braum to try and engage on the Xayah Rakan. It's just so hard for them to force something in this window when Mimic doesn't have access to the ulti. But Jake steps up to the plate there, flash ulti out of the Braum, locks up both members of the Legacy bot lane. They get themselves a couple of kills.
Yeah, absolute monster right now, Jake. 0-0-3 has played this landing phase nearly as well as you can as the Braum. Gets himself a pair of the winged Nikes right now, Bryce. Thoughts on Boots of Speed Braum?
I think it's not bad. I think it's not bad. There's a fair amount of CC, so you can make a case, because the traditional boot pickup for Braum is, unless you're going to be unlocked across the map. Oh, round 2.
Oh, that actually misses a spear. Claire puts down the trap and only cannot follow. See, just chasing him back and forth. That big buff to the Q shield means that he is very tanky at this stage of the game. We'll just chase 2 members out of his lane and say, boys, come on.
Yep, but back to the boots of a support. The go-to is kind of Mobies, right? But if you don't get them early enough, you're like, well, they're just not useful anymore. I'll go for Tabbies or Mercs. There's a fair amount of CC on Legacy. The big one is the Sejuani, but he's gone for the Swifties. It means he can dodge around the feathers. There's a lot of skill shot CC. You want to be able to dodge the lasers from Clay. You want to be able to dodge, especially in lane, because he invested in his boots so early. The engage from Rakan, because you've seen time and time again, Blinky can dash out of it, but Jake has nothing. So it means he has that extra bit of move speed despite being in combat to be able to dodge around that one.
Also the fact that if he lands the Q and Rakan dashes away, he gets on top of him much quicker to proc that stun. I mean, look how quickly he's moving compared to Rakan right now. Just going to be able to chase him down for days. That's what we saw last time.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention, against something like the Victor, Charlie said in the interview that they haven't played against this for a long time. And if Claire goes for one of the old school builds with the Rylai's that are just so annoying. If you have a Mobies on a support and he hits you with the end of a laser, he can literally just chase you down. So he opts in for the Swifties, gives him that slow resist there. So decent pickup in my eyes. Mimic just pressuring this top side of the map. These 2 have been left completely on an island.
A couple of TP plays have been quite good, as we actually might see a bit of a brawl here. Over the wall goes Claire. Will look to chase him out. Blinky takes a lot of damage. However, they will just reset here. Sybil still sticking around, and Frey does join. However, just nothing hitting.
Yeah, and I mean, we were kind of critiquing AV in terms of engage potential last game for game 1. They had that rise on the top side, but now they have the on. But because they picked up the Nidalee, now they don't have the Sejuani, they don't have the Zac or anything like that, so their 4-man unit is going to really struggle to actually make a proactive play onto Legacy. And then Mimic in the Gnar in the side lane, he should just be able to push Pabu in, so I feel like AV really going to struggle to find an avenue into this game so far.
Yeah, for sure. You see Sybil actually looking to take this camp. He's brought over Claire. Looking to get the knock up there is Jake, and they are both stunned in that field. Jake will fall relatively low. However, Claire now potentially stunned up. No. And they get first turret off that. Meanwhile, Mimic in the top lane is having a little bit of a scrap with Pabu. Just hitting the turret. Pabu will get the knock up, however, not in turret range. And they're
They
just going to
don't do
continue to
any damage.
wailing on each other. Mimic says, get off of me! And successful disengage.
Yep, Nidalee running up the river there, so wants to keep Pabu at bay. Unfortunately, Pabu's just trying to stick to him right now. Mini Nut pops out, so that does mean he will win this 1v1. But only looking to steal away a red buff despite losing his on the bottom-hand side of the map. Legacy, interestingly, actually deploy back down bottom right now. The top turret is fairly low,
Yeah,
and it's only an air
comes
drake down
on,
there.
ulti onto Mimic.
Nice
He will
flash.
flash,
Oh.
looking to outplay one more time. He's done it before. Knock up is there into the shockwave. That kill will go over to Only. Think he should have given it to Frey, to be honest, and they might just look to rush for mid lane turret here, Legacy.
And only so much he can do in that situation. So many forms of CC. He dodges the engage out of Pabu. He dodges the ball from Frey, but in the end,
in goes
This
Decoy,
doesn't
misses
matter.
his engage, will not get Blinky on the back end, and he's taking a boatload of damage from that turret. However, they will pick it up, and you can see Claire. He's just frontlining on this Victor right now, so confident.
you know what I've noticed?
Yep.
Claire's a Dark Seal mid laner.
He
Every
is.
game. He just has a Dark Steel, and he just seems to be able to stack this one up. He's very reliable with a gold lead so far, so gets a lot of value out of that Dark Seal.
And volatile mid laners, you know, people like Claire, like Swiffer that go for extended trades. Dark Seal, not for the AP, but for the extended potion duration, actually is a valuable
Underrated,
pickup.
yep.
Very underrated. In fact, on people like Kassadin, used to go like Dark Seal into Corrupting Potion and just sustain through the entirety of the laning phase until you're relevant. Obviously, Victor's still someone that needs that, what, 1250 gold to be able to get to his Hex Core upgrades, and Claire has done it beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, when you get the first blood donated over to you, it's fairly easy to get to that first back, and that is the biggest criticism people have of Victor so far. Demolish coming out of Decoy here, probably just going to pick up another turret for Legacy, so that's going to be the 3-1 in terms of turrets so far.
Yeah, Blinky going to be 1v1 in the bottom lane. This game is a Trinity Force game out of Ezreal. So decided that he wants to go quicker as opposed to make people slower.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, to be honest. The carries on the side of Legacy don't have dashes, so Victor, Fire as well.
Yep.
The slows would be very potent against them, but obviously this game changing his mind from game one. Potentially just wants to add that bit of chaos that Charlie was talking about, wants to just do straight up more damage.
Yeah, you can see over the wall, Sybil is backing on a control ward. They're pinging out Baron right now.
Do they actually start this one up? There's a lot of ping, so Legacy definitely know they're there, but they do not have numbers around. That's a 4-man reset coming up, but AV, of course, not too much deep vision.
Yeah,
They
that's
wouldn't
a
have
hard
known that
reset
every
coming
member
out.
of Legacy based.
How do you decide when you're going to hard reset as a team? Like, get everyone back to base at the same time and give up map control versus when you're going to stagger your recall, send your support back, then send your jungler back, send carries back one by one. So you actually have, you know, wave clear up and available on the map.
You want to know my honest opinion?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, looking for an engage. Blinky gets himself out. I think it's actually less relevant than people think. I think if the bases match up and you do all just recall, then you recall. But engage coming out of the top side of the map right now. Mimic TPing.
Yeah, actually going to
Cancels.
be a cancelled TP. And you see Claire was pretty much chasing him out anyway. And this
And a
will
lot of
actually be
pings.
the pings onto Baron. Pabu isn't there. The shockwave is down. And Legacy say, let's get at this one. Not as quick this time around, however. 6,000 health, and it has been spotted out. Only going around. Big knock up onto all of the members. And you can see they still want it. They've turned off, however. 3,000 health, that will just say that. Mimic looking for the backline. Ornn's ultimate, however, comes up absolutely massive. And now Claire is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Still somehow gets Blinky. Mimic will just look to throw Pabu back into the team. However, should be stunned up here and should also fall down. Stun will connect. You can see now his mini decoy goes back in. And they're still trying to win this fight. But Pabu is just an absolute fridge and will not fall down. They do no damage to the damn Ornn. Headbutts a wall. And you can see that he still wants Sybil.
And after a fairly slow early game out of Legacy, they decide to pull the trigger on a Baron. And that was the sketchiest turn we've seen out of Legacy around Baron for such a long time. Decoy pops the ulti, but he didn't want to commit to the W onto Jake, so he ends up living for so long. Eventually he does, but the turn was just so staggered out of Legacy and AV punish.
Yeah, they just sat in no man's land,
Yep.
not hitting Baron and taking a boatload of damage at the same time. Meanwhile, they have AV have started up Baron. You can see that Sybil over the wall has flash available. No ulti, is a level low. Wants to go for this one. 700 health. That's a very low smite coming out of Only.
Got to about 300 there, so there was potential to steal from Sybil, but obviously has no vision in the pit. Did not get to see it, but we see this once again. And I want you to keep your eyes on Duke. He's popped the ulti. And then eventually he flashes onto Frey, but that's very early coming out. And then they just commit onto the left-hand side of the lane here. Ornn ulti comes out from Pabu, and they're just stuck. Claire kind of trades his life for a kill here, and Mimic's like, no, Claire, please don't die. Unfortunately, he gets CC'd again, and there's just nothing Legacy can do from this point.
Yeah, exactly right. The mini-Gnar here actually means he's very squishy. I think if he was Mega for a little bit longer, they would have been able to fight in the choke. It's such a good place for Xayah. However, not the case. And Legacy, honestly, at that point, it just lost the team fight. In saying that, Claire also nearly killed Frey. He is doing so much damage at this point in the game. If Frey dies in that fight, I feel like it's a completely different story. But now with Baron buff, Avant look to pressure mid lane turret.
Yeah, the mid turret already half HP. 5 members of AV are around, and Claire, strongest member of Legacy right now, watching the bot side. So they give this one up. And even if Claire was there, AP champions against Baron minions, we've talked about it, really, really struggle with wave clear, so.
Blinky's starting to do some big damage. That was 1 Q. And Decoys at half
Oh,
health
they're
out
going.
there. Engage over the wall. This time onto Jake. Cannot get the ultimate off. That's in a choke point, and they're looking to continue to fight this one. Blinky goes massive, takes down Mimic, and you can see Claire is struggling to put out the damage over the wall. That will be the double kill picked up for Blinky. Dashing forward, Shockwave only hits 1. Can Blinky keep going? E will be up and available in a moment. He gets the triple, and this could just be AV rushing up mid lane. 30-second death timers.
And Legacy thought they had the pick, but AV turn it around. They do lose Jake, but committing everything onto the Braum means Blinky is just free to do all that damage. 4 kills under his belt now. The Triforce just means he does that extra bite.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see the additional attack speed coming out, as well as the fact that the Qs are just a little bit punchier. Sure, he's not able to chase in the same capacity. 7 seconds still left on the tanks. So they push into the base. Maybe a turret available. Would be surprised if they stick around for the inhibitor.
Yep. Do they stick around? No, it looks like they're going to back off. But Legacy, because they don't have tempo in this, actually, Claire, looking for something on the backside, but no. Because they were looking for like a cheeky pick. AV have the advantage right now. Just take a look at the side lanes at the top side of the map. That's huge. So AV, they pick up the win here. And it means they do get that turret, that inhib turret as well. Blinky in this fight, doing so much damage. Claire, after he's used his like upfront combo, just really can't do a whole lot more there. Raid can't get access. Blinky very free to just E forwards, and then AV just steamroll.
Yeah, and I think they used one too many ultimates on the support. I think it should have been the Gnar or the Sejuani ultimate. As Mega was running out, it was probably Mimic's ultimate. You have to wonder how much of this is, you know, like a bit of a language barrier coming in, because potentially he wouldn't have died as quick there, Jake, but the Sejuani ultimate onto someone like Blinky, onto someone like Frey, would have swung that team fight very heavily.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thought process is because Blinky was just behind the bush over the wall. So actually looking for another pick.
Yeah, going to absolutely blow up only here, gets dragged back in. Shut down goes over to Claire.
Legacy playing a very cheeky game of League of Legends right now. Banshee's available on Claire, but still doesn't want to tank up the Shockwave. But as we were saying, I think the thought process is that Jake's just going to hop over the wall if they only burn 1. Okay. Sage ulti's going to lock him down for 2 seconds-ish, and then he's just going to hop over to Blinky, being completely fine. So they want to stack that CC and pull him away from that little wall there. So Legacy find themselves another pick. It's actually very hard to get these picks from this tempo disadvantage. Baron obviously in the hands of AV, not to mention the gold lead, so playing very cheeky League of Legends, sitting in bushes, finding that pick onto only.
And hey,
they do get a dragon.
Potentially, oh, I just thought of something. The reason Blinky went Trinity Force
oh, yeah.
is because he has an Aunt called Trinity Force Plus.
Trinity Force Plus. What's... Have you had your Trinity Force Plus today? Blinky has, because he's picked that one up. He's got himself a QSS as well. Absolutely popping this game.
Maybe it's Quadrinity Force.
Oh, hey. How much damage does it do?
The stacks, I have no idea.
Stacks of damage? I feel like tons is more than stacks. Come on, mate. But
if you have tons of money or if you have fat stacks, who has more?
Fat stacks.
Yeah.
Fat stacks is cooler.
See?
So Blinky going to be doing fat stacks of damage in the next team fight right now. 6k gold lead for AV. But Legacy do keep finding these picks, so it means their Baron has worn out. They only got 1 turret.
And this is 2. This is the one thing if you're a solo tank teleporting in versus if you've got a tank support or jungle teleporting in, is that only Pabu can't really sit on the wave in the bottom lane because, you know, Only is playing a damage jungler, as we keep mentioning. Jake's better at going backwards than he is at going forward, although he's had some nice flash engages. In goes Pabu, however, he's going to look for the Lovers Duo. Actually gets a flash forward from Jake, and that will be Raid just getting ripped apart.
And he just doesn't blow the Featherstorm. He didn't dodge the CC, so Blinky actually finds the kill there onto Raid. And that's going to be another inhibitor turret down for Legacy. I have to think they can take the inhib as well.
Yeah, this might be a couple. You can see Jake playing so far forward pops the Banshee's Veil as well, and now Claire needs to be hesitant. A big carry from Legacy just cannot get in. They actually engage onto Pabu. Got to question that decision, and you can see just so tanky, they start to push them out. Shockwave onto 3 members means both summoner spells will go down. Decoy gets onto the back line, but will also fall. You can see Gravity Zone affects Frey. However, 2 inhibs as well as a couple of kills means Avant Gaming will successfully disengage.
And such a big shockwave out of Frey. Baits Decoy into the counter engage, tries to keep his carries alive, and he does, but at the cost of his life there. So another 30 seconds of the death timer means that AV are going to have time to set up around this Baron, spawning in 55 seconds right now.
And we're seeing another Zeke's pick up. It is the Oceanic item.
Yep.
Have you seen it elsewhere?
No.
Why do we build it?
I don't know. I was questioning Kuden last week, so there has to be something to it. Perhaps we're just uneducated in the
100%.
the language of Zeke's.
Yep. It's got a really cool emblem.
Yeah, it does.
Big fan.
Yeah. But I feel like Ardent Sensor is significantly better. Obviously, Braum can't pick that one up, but...
Yeah, rip Bond of Stone
Yep.
Braum. Does Guardian allow you to pop Ardent Sensor?
No. Unfortunately not. Maybe there's a rune in the Resolve tree. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it's basically mini Bond of Stone. Is it? But I feel like Ardent is in the complete dumpster right now compared to where it was the World's patch. So you're not going to be seeing tanks picking that one up first item. It's very greedy.
Imagine in a team fight, Ali's just like, kill more minions, I need an Ardent proc.
I feel like, actually Jake's going to find himself
Hard
caught once
engage
again.
here onto Jake. Will not fall down because he got the door up in
nice
time.
on the Blinky.
Will get an ultimate out and available. You can see bottom lane Pabu actually had to cancel his TP, but they're still looking to go forward. Featherstorm is going to be used from Raid. However, a pick for Legacy will slow down the tempo of this game.
And I feel like AV, it's too much chaos. They need more discipline. They can't keep getting picked like this when they have the tempo advantage. It just means despite having the lead, they go into these lulls. Blinky's looking.
Blinky actually will be knocked up. However, good ultimate from Ornn again. Claire over the wall. Big Chaos Storm. However, they're just going forward. And without the biggest damage threat, Legacy just fall before Avant. Decoy potentially going to fall down. Mimic looking to just grab a wave. And AV, you said they need less chaos? Well, that's more chaos. Let's take a 4v5 team fight.
Yep, Sybil walks up to Blinky, loses half his HP, and they lose 2 picks onto the back end of that. No Featherstorm, as you said, available for Raid, so he goes down. That means AV will have access to the Baron right now. Only taking away the red buff, actually decides he wants the Blasting Plant instead, but they start this one up. The Smite is available for Sybil, but he's really going to struggle to actually find his way into the pit here.
It's also level 15 versus level 13, so as long as we don't see a 300 HP Smite, this one should be very safe and secure for Avant. Boy, oh boy.
That's a 190 smite there. I reckon Sybil Smite does more than that.
Yeah, I reckon it does as well.
Yep.
But this looks very reminiscent of the first time that Legacy played this lineup. Mimic is playing well, but isn't there when this fight is set up, which means that it's really Claire versus a world. That is a 110 bottom lane. You get hit with that in solo queue, you're hitting the report button.
Yeah. But unfortunately also for Claire, right? He has 2 targets. He has multiple targets he has to deal with. Blinky and Frey, also big threats. Blinky obviously does significantly more damage right now. 8 kills to his name, but he can really only ulti one of them. And if it is onto the Blinky, and he doesn't actually kill him in that upfront burst, he's going to lifesteal back up. He's got that double lifesteal build with a Mercurial, with that Bork, and he has the safety of the Knight's Vow from Jake, not to mention the resist he gets when he stands behind Braum. So Blinky free to just frontline for the most part.
And apparently Blinky is that fed. He deserves a Saucy, even though we don't think that he was going to get one. It's just come from an unlikely place, as Italy has picked it up. Athene's plus Ardent Sensor.
Yep.
That's a utility Nidalee build.
Yeah, he's playing Soraka Nidalee. Look at him. He's sitting behind Blinky. He's just going to hit him with a heal every now and again, throw a spear.
Except his Q does significantly more damage.
Yep, does it?
I reckon it does.
I mean, I feel like at this point they're both just doing no damage. No damage is comparable. But
all right,
we'll have
let's
to
go
see.
into
Dragon's
practice
falling.
tool. I'll give you these items on
I think
Soraka.
only the spear will do more damage.
Thank goodness.
But if they're both doing almost nothing, it means they're not highly relevant. The Elder Dragon is spawned, but no dragons on the side of AV, so not going to be too effective. The burn will still be there, but not too big of a deal. Another smite coming out only. I feel like he doesn't care. These are uncontested, so kind of judging him for the smite when he's just taking it down for free is a
the first
bit
one's
of a
the one that
roast.
sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
And then it's just funny after that point, so apologies only, but we have to laugh at something.
Yep.
Otherwise, you know, life just gets a little bit dull.
Yeah. So, looking to siege onto this bot side. of Legacy's base. Obviously have the 2 inhibs down already. Legacy going to have to make a play to try and hold this one up. Mimic seeing about half of his Narbar. Raid looking to poke out Parbu, but he just doesn't take any damage.
And I feel like this is where Jake and Parbu's champions really shine. You saw Jake just protected the creep wave, and then Parbu can do this. And what is the response? You just have to walk away, and it's so non-committal. In goes Mimic. Will get 3 members on the Gnar into the knock-up. Single-man Shockwave just trying to fight this one fight to back. And even though Mimic does his job and gets all 3 of the carries, that will be a 2-for-0 team fight. And Avant looking to end this game.
And the engage was huge out of Legacy. Mimic gets into the backline, all of the carries thrown up against the wall into Decoy, but unfortunately Claire just was not close enough. He could not lay the damage down, and Raid's not going to do any himself.
Yeah, so now they have to try and defend their Nexus turrets. You can see it is just too difficult. Parbu just soaking so much damage. Will have to flash and eventually will fall down. No, he will not. Blinky wants Claire, but really AV should just prioritize their Nexus and square us off 1-1.
To equalize the series. That will be 1-1. A big goal lead at the end of the game there. Legacy kind of threw away all the control they had. They were winning the early game there. Claire picked himself up a couple of kills, but when they went for that Baron, kind of threw it all away, and a nice punish from AV, and they never relent.
Yeah, and I feel like Ornn for Avant is just such a good champion for them. It gives them such an easy way into these team fights.
Yep.
And when Blinky feels like he's safe to just continually kite back, hit frontline targets, and then can read the fight so well when he knows he can go aggressive, when he can go onto the targets like Raid, like Claire, they just look so much more cohesive, so much more together as a unit.
Yeah, and I mean, we were kind of complimenting him pre-show, right? Talking about this matchup, like where we're looking to play. And Blinky, I feel like he's stepping it up. We were complimenting his play previously, but he just looks real good in this series so far.
Yeah, certainly does. And at the same time, Claire is just thinking, what the heck do I have to do? That is nearly a flawless game of League of Legends coming out of the mid laner of Legacy. And unfortunately, like Dominoes, everyone's just bumping into him as they fall over.
Yeah, and I mean, we did mention the Baron already, but that was really just the big turning point in the game. Legacy, they had control. Claire had those kills, but I mean, I used to meme Legacy when I was a player. I was like, a Legacy Baron. Like, they're not good at turning around. I feel like we kind of saw a relic of that in this game as well. There was just no cohesion in what they were setting up to do. They weren't all sitting in the back of the pit, kind of waiting for Decoy to go in. They weren't sitting behind the pit looking to just take a 50-50 smite fight against only smites that game. Maybe they should have. Maybe they would have won, but...
Yeah, potentially. And the other thing is, like, when you got a tank that's entering the pit, you kind of get worried because it's like, takes so long to burn him. He's definitely going to get his smite off if they rush this. However, when a Nidalee jumps in, you just turn around and ulti her with your 7-1 Victor.
Hit him with a Rakan engage.
Yeah, hit her with a Rakan over the wall. I feel like they misread that situation because of what the meta normally plays like right now on 8.3. But AV's comp was completely different.
Yeah, and I feel like it was pretty interesting actually tracking the game from that point though, right? Because Legacy, they had the lead and they throw it all away, but then AV are in the driver's seat time and time again, but they do find themselves picked off every now and again. Jake gets picked, but Blinky can punish, and then only gets picked. Unfortunately, they can't punish, but it was just a weird back and forth game, and so Legacy, despite being down in gold, despite being behind, were finding avenues in, but overall, AV, you mentioned the Ornn, was just too much to overcome, I think.
Exactly right. That non-committal engage does come up trumps again to break that game down a little bit further. Let's throw it over to the analyst hangout.
Thank you very much, guys. Avant able to bring that game back. So now 1-1 in the series. Claire brought his Victor out, a champion that he's known for. But Tegan, what are your thoughts on the drafts from both sides?
I thought Victor was a bad pick. Props to Claire for playing really bloody well and proving me wrong. But it feels like that AV made the required adaptations. They went to Ornn, a nice, comfortable, safe top pick. Parbu might have whiffed ults last time, but not this time. He played quite well. He was that, as Spawn called him, fridge in team fights, where he just walked forward and didn't care. And it showed in their gameplay, where they had a much more clear and easy way to play.
The game was fairly even in the early game, but there was a point where Avant took the lead after seeing Legacy starting up the Baron, and they saw an opportunity to pounce on them. And really, this was the team fight that changed the game.
Yeah, so I feel like Legacy's goal here wasn't actually to do the Baron. It can't have been, because the whole enemy team's going to get there before it finishes. So why are they so committed to the Baron? You have people in the back of the pit. You have Decoy popping his ulti early to try and stop them from engaging, but it's going to happen. You have the Ornn, you have everyone else. Claire does really well here to kill Blinky just instantly, almost gets Frey as well. And if he did get Frey, the counter Baron from AV at the end of this wouldn't have happened. And here you see Parbu just doesn't care. I'm pretty sure he heals up half this fight because they just don't do the damage required to him. And this was really the point where in my eyes, it was almost over as a game. AV take the Baron off this, and then they get full control of the map. And when you have full control of the map and the ability to engage as easily as they do with Ornn Ultimate, it's very, very difficult to come back against that.
Well, we saw Avant able to adapt what Legacy put on the table in this game, but going into Game 3, how did Legacy adapt to what Avant have just put on the table?
Ban Ornn. Ban Ornn. They didn't let Ornn through Game 1 for a reason. They banned it in the second phase, so obviously they didn't put a huge priority on it, but they did ban it. And instead they're banning things like Kalista and Caitlyn, which to me aren't as important as something that can essentially just end the game from top. Pabu didn't win out in lane. The lane was actually quite even. It was a tank fest. But the less priority you can give them, the better. Alternatively, give your bot lane a lot more focus, give them something aggressive again like Rakan Xayah, and play through bot lane, because what ended up happening was they were struggling really hard down there, and that's something they need to address as well.
Well, looking at this performance out of Avant, do you think they have the momentum to take the series going into Game 3, or are you going to swap your prediction over to Legacy?
I mean, my prediction's wrong anyway, but I still have to go with Avant. At least one of us will be right then, and if you can take my job, I'll take yours.
Okay, sounds good to me. We're going to head to a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to have Game 3 between this series, between Legacy and Avant. Don't miss it.
The backline. Ornn's ultimate, however, comes up absolutely massive, and now Claire is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Still somehow gets Blinky, and they're still trying to win this fight, but Pabu is just an absolute fridge and will not fall down. They do no damage to the damn Ornn. This time onto Jay, cannot get the ultimate off. That's in a choke point, and they're looking to continue to fight this one. Blinky goes massive, takes down Mimic, and you can see Claire is struggling to put out the damage over the wall. That will be the double kill picked up for Blinky, dashing forward. Shockwave only hits one. Can Blinky keep going? E will be up and available in a moment. He gets the triple.
Blinky's
Blinky actually will be knocked up. However, good ultimate from Ornn. Again, Claire over the wall. Big Chaos Storm, however, they're just going forward. And without the biggest damage threat, Legacy just fall. In goes Mimic. Will get three members on the Gnar into the knock-up. Single man Shockwave just trying to fight this one front to back. And even though Mimic does his job and gets all three of the carries, that will be a 2-for-0 team fight. Pabu just soaking so much damage. Will have to flash and eventually will fall down. No, he will not. Blinky wants Claire, but really AV should just prioritize their Nexus and square us off 1-1.